Hi, welcome to episode 3 of this series of videos I'm making called Favorite Song That I Taught This Week. This week's submission comes from my Thursday afternoon student, Jay Pickett, who is an awesome young guitar player who I'm super jealous of because he's way more talented than I was at his age. And he probably won out on a little bit of nostalgia this week because this song came out when I was between 8th grade and freshman year of high school. I was 14 years old. It's the theme song to the movie Back to the Future. It's Huey Lewis's The Power of Love. So away we go. This song has 3 chord progressions. There are three basic chord progressions. There's lots of little variations with one of them. So I'm going to break down the 3 chord progressions and then I'll go through the variations of the one that's a little bit more intricate in terms of its variations. Okay, so the first chord progression we hear in the song goes like this. Okay, great. So that's the intro. And so what it is it's just a series of power chords. I'm not barring anything. I just keep my finger really flat like most players do when they play power chords, just to mute my strings. And I'm only playing the A string at the 3rd fret and the 5th fret of the D. This is a C5 power chord. The next thing we see is an open E note. Then an F power chord. So that's the 1st fret of the E, 3rd fret of the A. Again, not barring, just muting. And then up a whole step to a G. The count here is really cool. It's syncopated. It's going 8th notes, all downstroke with the right hand, preferably on the bridge to get a pickup setting to get a little bit more of an edge out of your amp and your guitar. So it's counted like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So this last chord that he sneaks in is still a G. It's just moved over a string and it's inverted. This is a B in the bass, but it's still the G on the top. So this is actually the root of the chord. It's a G chord, but it's got a B in the bass. So sorry, I got distracted with the count. So let me go back and do that again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1. Great. So that's the intro. But later on, it's also the chorus because it plays a new chord progression the 4th time around. So it plays it 3 times at the beginning of the song, stops on the G. 1 and 2 and 3. And that's how the intro is concluded before it goes into the next section. But in the chorus, it doesn't end that way. It plays the progression 3 times, and on the 4th time, it adds a new chord progression of B flat, which is the 1st fret of the A, 1st fret of the E, F5, G, and 3 and 4 and 1. And that's how the chorus ends. So it's the same progression 3 times in the intro, 3 times again on the chorus, but then add the new progression that I just showed you for the end of the chorus. Cool. Progression number 2 in the song is the one that's really gets me, I don't know, makes me smile. It's just kind of like a little chord riff with double stops and triads. Double stops are 2-string shapes or 2-string chords, and triads being 3 notes, 3 chords. 3 notes in a chord, 3 strings. Cool, so here's how it works. D string, 5th fret with the ring finger, G string, pinky finger, and then I'm gonna play the same 2 strings barred with just the tip of my index finger, kind of bend my finger like that so I don't over bar and get more strings than I need. So here's the riff, and then I'll break it down a little bit further. 1. And so what that is, first off, I would flip to the neck pickup for a softer sound for this section because it's a little more chill. Here's what we have. So this is C minor, the little part I just explained. Then it becomes an E flat major by taking your pinky off and adding a new string and becoming a triad here with the middle finger on B4. I'm still barring here. So the next move is like that. So you're going. So C minor and E flat, then up a whole step. This is F. And then walk it back down. So it's the same 3 chords, just descending. And that's the main riff that gets played many, many times in the song, but there's little variations with it where they play the end of the phrase with different chords here and there, and more on that later. So that's chord progression number 2 if you just want the simple version of Power of Love. That's it. Now, the most involved section in terms of the amount of chords that are in it is the bridge section, which happens after the second chorus of the song. So just for a lyric reference, it's the part of the song where you hear them sing, they say that all in love is fair, yeah, but you don't care. You know, that section of the song. So to break those down is pretty cool. There's a lot more sort of chromaticism and just tension in the chords. It's really neat. So what it is, first off, just the guitar player is playing the 8th fret, just like you would play an A shape, but all the way up here at the 8th fret. This makes it an E flat. And then it's the same shape that you saw him play in the verse, which is this triad. So I'm playing 9, 7, and 8 on the D, G, and B strings. This is a G major chord. There would be the root note, but also here's the root note. And then take your ring finger up a half step and bar it. And just still play the 3 strings, D, G, and B. And this is a C minor. So I'll break that down again. So this chord could be played, first off, any way you want. You could play 3 fingers like this, or just bar it. Say that all in there's G, and then C minor. And then we have our first 7th or 9th chord is actually a 9th. All the others have been triads, and that chord is the F9, and you're going to play 8, 7, 8, 8, starting with the A string. Yeah, but you don't care. Great. Then the next chord is A flat, played like so. You have 6, 5, 4, again, D, G, and B strings only. Then bring it down a half step and exchange these 2 fingers, and you're back to actually the E flat again. Then the second time he plays it, he adds a note here, so it becomes 6, 5, 4, 3. So you need all 4 fingers. Then to the E flat again. And then back to A flat again, just a normal triad this time. And then, this is fun, they play a G sus4 and then a G. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to bring this shape back a half step. We're now going to bar the high E. And the sus4 part is we're going to add our pinky to the 5th fret of the G string. Now, I'm holding this down still, my middle finger here, because I'm going to take my pinky off when I go. Like so. So here's that whole section. Oh, I missed that. Oh, so sorry. Let me do that again. The first one of these, then. The second one was A flat major 7. The third time, it goes to G sus4. I'll do that one more time. I'm wasting video space, but might as well. Go for it. A flat, E flat, A flat major 7 here. That's where I messed up. A flat, G sus. And that's the power. Then back into that. Great. So that's the entire song in terms of the highlights, the big points you have to know, like all of the main chord progressions. Now, if you really are going for the details of the song, and say you're playing in a cover band and you really want to do it right and you want to know it from start to finish, what happens with the second chord progression is that there's a series of variations in these. So I'm just going to go chronologically through the song. We're going all the way back to the top. We finish the intro. It does this. normal, then this. So it has that little variation there. So what was that? All right, so it's the same as the main riff. F, but instead of coming back down to E flat, you're going to go up a half step and make a B flat major triad back to F, like so. That was that variation. Then Huey comes in singing, "The power of love is a curious thing." So each verse does the riff 4 times. So we're now in verse 1, and there are four reps of this riff. The variations happen on the 2nd time and the 4th time. So once again, there's 4 reps of the riff, but time 2 and time 4 have variations. So here's the verse. Third time. Whoops, sorry. So that's how the first verse is played. So the 2 variations were second pass through the verse, just rhythmically. So it's the same chords, but the rhythm is quarter notes instead of eighths. And the last time, same rhythm, but the chords go E flat up to F. That concludes verse number 1. Then there's 1 pass of the riff instrumentally before verse 2. And what that does is one of the first variations we looked at. It goes. It does B flat and F up there as well. So next is the second verse. And the second verse, like the first, is 4 passes of the riff. But it's the normal riff 3 consecutive times this time. But the 4th time, I had to make notes on this. I gotta look. The 4th time, it plays with eighth notes like that instead of syncopating them. Here's how that sounds. This is the last time you hear the riff before it goes into the chorus, which is "Don't need money," that part. Don't need fame. So here it is. 1. And that's how it transitions into it. So one more time on that. All right, great. So that gets us all the way to the first chorus. There's only one other verse, which happens after that chorus. And that verse is exactly like the last verse I explained, where you play the riff 4 times, but the 4th time it plays the same variation I just showed you because it's going into another chorus. 3 times, then the 4th is. And so on. Cool. So after that chorus comes the bridge. And we already talked about the bridge. Yes. And so coming out of the bridge, there's a little instrumental section, and Huey's ad-libbing some lyrics over that. And yeah, you play the riff twice normally, and then the 3rd time you play it, this is the last time you play it before the guitar solo kicks in. It'll just play a variation I showed you before. So 2 times normal in this little segue to the solo. Then the 3rd time it's going to go like so. Then when the solo happens, it's still the riff and there's several variations. Basically what happens is the riff goes 8 full times. It's kind of a long guitar solo. It used to be the trend back in the day on a hit song. But it's kind of a long guitar solo. It's 8 passes of the riff, and variations only happen on the 4th, the 5th, and the 8th times, and the variations are ones you've already learned to this point. If you're still watching at this point, the variations are 4th time, which is E flat and B flat. Then the 5th time it goes. It goes E flat twice. This is the only new one, actually. Stays on E flat for those 2. And then the final time, because he's heading back into the chorus, It plays the same segue it always did going into the choruses prior, which is, and then you're into the chorus. So, and that is the power of love. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Sorry this was a little bit longer. It was a lot more detail.